Hello, everyone, and welcome to Immigration Live with Lee. I am your host, Attorney Lee Marvin, and I'm here for the special Thanksgiving week edition of Live with Lee. And tonight, I'm here to talk about immigration, which is not a bit surprising, of course, because that is what we do here. We talk about immigration, we talk about all the crazy things going on, we talk about things that you want to talk about. And I'm on tonight with Instagram, hello Instagram, and YouTube as well as Facebook. Having some difficulties in the past with some of these platforms, but I think I've got something figured out tonight. So thank you for joining. And Elaine is joining us from Mississippi. Thank you, Elaine, for remembering to let me know where you're joining from. So let us know where you're joining us from, because you never know when you have a friend out there that is close to you, both geographically and relationally, with what's happening with immigration. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of bad stuff in the news, but not everything's bad, because there's a way around things. How do you get around things? By doing things the right way under the law. And that's what I'm here for, because that's what I've been doing for about 13 years. And it's my passion in life. And that's why I do this live every Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is Detroit time. I'm here yet again. So let me know where you're joining me from, and post your questions in the comments section, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. Thank you for joining. And let me know. There's some questions that I had from earlier today that I have available, but I always like the live questions better, because you guys take time out of your busy schedules to join me. So I would like to prioritize those types of questions. But barring any of those, I always have lots to talk about. This isn't per se a news live edition that I do. News factors into it, but I'm not a news reporter. I comment and provide context on immigration matters. There's a lot going on with the current administration and how they are deciding to process and handle what they see as a problem in the United States when it comes to immigration. And it's very harsh, harsher than it has been in years past. But there's always a way through. You just have to know the right questions and get the right information to be able to do that. So again, question that I had from earlier today, she says, hello, just a quick question. Is there a way we can get around telling an immigration officer at the interview that my husband worked here under a false ID? He didn't know it was wrong, but once he realized it, he stopped working. Should we wait a year and then reapply, or should we continue to apply and find a way to tell them about his job? Very interesting question. Okay, if you got that question, immigration, there's no difference. Time is relative, but time doesn't really matter depending on the administration you have. So waiting a year to file something is not going to change the reality of the situation. The reality is, as this person mentioned, there was working under a false identification. That's not going to be any different a year from now as it is now. So there's no need to wait to apply for something when the facts don't change. So that's definitely the way it is for a lot of people. And in my experience, immigration hasn't denied an otherwise normal immigration case because somebody worked without authorization, or fake IDs are not great because it's a type of fraud. So it is difficult, but there often waivers for processes for people who have inadmissibilities, they're called. If the government determines that you're inadmissible because you worked with a fake ID, there's a way around that process, and I've had success with them in the past. But hopefully that answers that question. Let's see here. Again, let me know where you're joining from. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because we always like that. We like to be able to share all this with people on our different channels. And the way people get notified is by seeing how many likes and subscriptions there are for this live session, okay? Here's a question from my YouTube channel. Will my N336 be approved after I got new evidence and have an appointment in 2 weeks? I passed the civics test. Will I retake the test or just present my evidence in my ... I get what you're coming with, Lucian, what you're driving at here. So if you went to your interview for naturalization, then they asked you, after you passed the civics test and the English test, they asked you for additional information, which is essentially a request for evidence. They typically tell you what you have to do. They say, just provide that information and we'll make a determination. They typically don't make you retake a test unless it's been longer than a year or so. So if you're just responding immediately to what they're asking, and you're getting them the stuff by the time that they tell you to do it, then you don't have to retake things. You've already passed that part of it, so you should be good. Just provide the information as requested, and you'll see that it will be approved swiftly after that, okay? Okay. Okay, so here's a question about visa processing times. I will tell you, since you're on my YouTube channel, check out my latest video, the December Visa Bulletin. But the question is, we applied in 2012 for I-130 at the F4 category from Sri Lanka. When will we get the interview? Take a look at my most recent video about the Visa Bulletin. Let me quick do it since I can here. Get you an answer quickly. But remember, folks, whether you're on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, go to my YouTube channel, because I have a lot of videos on there regularly, including the Visa Bulletin that tells you processing times. Okay, Visa Bulletin. That way I don't have to bore everyone on here. If this question is only applicable to one person in Sri Lanka, and that was the F4 category. Let's see, F4, that's the lowest category. That's brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens. And right now they're processing requests from 2008. So you've got several years left before they get to your filing. So I'd say at least 4 years, as the crow flies, at least 4 years before you're going to be able to move forward with that F4 category for that consular processing for your sibling, okay? So thank you for that question. Again, any and all questions, please post them. Tony has a question here on Instagram. Estimated time, wait time for the I-90 permanent resident replacement card. Okay, Tony, in my experience, when I've done these, usually it's about 3 months. I haven't looked recently what the processing times are for specifically the renewal of the green card, but usually it's within 90 days is what I would expect to see. Could be a little bit longer because everything's running a little bit longer these days, but replacement of either a renewal or a replacement. If it's just a straight up replacement, which is what you say here, it probably will be quicker because they don't have to vet you. They don't have to look at everything else. They just replace the card that you lost. So I would say within 90 days, you can expect that, okay? Let's see here. Okay, so again, don't be shy with the questions. And thank you for joining on these different media platforms. But these questions are important to everyone. So ask them if you got them, okay? Here's another question I had from earlier. I have a green card and I want to travel to India. My wife is a US citizen, will be fine to go visit my family for 2 months. Now, this, again, individual has legal permanent residency, but he's worried because he sees all this crazy, wacky stuff in the news about the risk of traveling, even if you're a legal permanent resident. I will say that if you don't have a bad history or problems in your past, there's no reason not to travel. For 2 months, you have up to 6 months a year to be able to travel as a legal permanent resident without having to worry about staying outside the country for too long. Usually that comes up for naturalization process. But 2 months is nothing. You absolutely have the right to do that, and you absolutely should do that. You don't have any need to worry about that for green card holders, okay? So that's that question. Let's see here. I think we have a lot of shy people here tonight. A lot of shy people, but that's okay, because I've got a few other questions here. This was from my YouTube channel. I did a video about green card renewals, the big risks that nobody tells you about. That's the name of the video. And this person, subscriber, said, "Thanks for making the video. I'm a trans man from Iran. I recently changed my name and gender in my passport and birth certificate. My green card is still showing my previous name and gender. I was thinking about changing it, but now I'm not sure anymore. Any suggestions?" My suggestion is 100% to change it, because if you have already changed it in everything else, why wouldn't you change it with your green card? There's no crime. There's no problem with changing genders, right? So again, I know that people jump to conclusions for good reason about this administration, what kind of harshness will come down on you if you do certain things. But if you legally changed your gender and you've changed your documentation to reflect that, then you should do it on your green card. Okay, so that's the answer for that individual. If you have more questions about things related to that, you can always reach out to me. And this is always a good time for me to post that link for individuals that have a need to talk about immigration matters. Okay, let me see here. Let me go ahead and post that. So if you have questions, that link can be used. And Instagram, it's a little bit harder for me to do it on Instagram because I don't have it on this other computer, so I'm not going to be able to type it in there. But go to my webpage, marvinlawoffice.com, and you'll see the links there. Okay, so www.marvinlawoffice.com. So got a question from Rose here. Rose on Instagram. I applied for a green card for my sister, the F4 category again. In 2011, it didn't go to the National Visa Center yet. They didn't approve it yet. After 14 years, is it normal? Rose, I just answered that question not 5 minutes ago. Okay. The processing time right now for that particular category, siblings of US citizens, they're processing requests that were submitted in 2008. And if yours was submitted in 2011, you've got a few years left before you're going to be able to move forward. So it is normal based on that category. That's the lowest category. That's the longest wait time of any of the categories, is the F4 category. So there you go. There you have it. So if you have any other questions, reach out. Okay, now I've got a question. Okay, so this is Gregory is asking, let me see here. Is it within the time manner if I file paperwork for my wife from July and was asked for additional sponsorship, but after submitting the information, still no response? What's my take on it? So Gregory, everything comes down to timing, because that is typical. If you filed not knowing, not filing the right way with sponsorship, the government is very quick to let you know that you don't meet the requirements, and they will ask a request for evidence for additional people. It sounds like you probably don't have an attorney, and I've noticed that a lot of cases where people are doing their own, the government takes their time. When I submit a response such as this, it could be anywhere from 2 weeks to, I'd say, a month. It very rarely is longer than that for me, but I do know that do-it-yourselfers usually are required to wait longer, because the government just doesn't get to it as quickly as they do for people that are represented. So it'll happen eventually. You just might have to wait a little bit longer, okay? Rose, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. If I can help you with anything else, reach out. So if you weren't on here before when I talked about it, marvinlawoffice.com is a website. So if you needed to go and take a look, how to book a time to talk to me directly, you can do that on there, okay? But thank you for your question. Christian Aguilar, thank you for joining. I'm happy to have you, sir. El gusto es mío. So it's very nice to see you on here, okay? Let me go back over to, okay, here's a question. Can I ask for freedom of information because my application for citizenship was denied? Well, yes, you're always permitted to do a request, freedom of information request of the government. But if the government denied your citizenship request, they tell you why, right? Usually they'll tell you why. They'll say, hey, you overstayed your visa outside the United States for too long, your legal permanent residency, so you didn't meet the 5-year or 3-year requirement. They will tell you why they deny you. If they did not, or you didn't get the decision, either wait a little while or yes, do that Freedom of Information Act request to get your file from immigration, okay? All right, so, okay, here's another question. And questions are rolling in and I love it. So thank you for all your wonderful questions. Is it true that now filing for adjustment of status as a visa overstay will end up in detention? Let me take a sip of water, because that's a very serious question. You can't really speak in absolutes when you're talking about immigration. I've seen this reported recently, quite a bit recently, but it's not across the board. That is not the marching orders that we know that have been published by immigration or by the president. There might be different field offices that are using this as an opportunity to punish people who have overstayed. I've seen it coming for a while. This has been a problem for many years that the government has vocally complained about it, and they now are doing things that they've never done before and punishing people that are visa overstays. It used to be that if you enter the United States legally, that's all that really mattered. Well, now that's no longer enough. If you are out of status, they can use it as an opportunity to punish, and they are reportedly doing that. I think that the most notorious office was in San Diego. Okay, they were just taking people in the other room when they came for their interview and said, "Oh, you overstayed. Guess what? Here's your notice to appear at immigration court." Yep. And we are actually now going to detain you in the facility. Assuming we have space, we will detain you. So that was San Diego. I don't know if that's across the country, but there are reports of it. There's, I guess, a chance of it. So knowing that and preparing for the worst is a good idea. I wouldn't necessarily give up on your immigration process because it's something that's happening in the news in some isolated locations. If you're in that location in San Diego, then I would say it's a pretty safe bet to think that that might be happening to you. But for example, in Michigan, I haven't heard any reports of that here in Michigan. So it just depends, right? So before I get to these next questions, just want to finish this particular one off by telling people preparation is everything. If you have kids, you obviously have a significant other, prepare a power of attorney before you go to that interview, because if you are split, you might not have another opportunity to get together with your significant other or spouse. And you might not be able to give the thing that your spouse needs in order to carry on with business as usual or with kids, if you're not able to do that. Power of attorney, huge, huge, huge benefit to people who are split up and might not have the ability to do things jointly. Okay, so that's all I'll say on that, but definitely be prepared. Let's see here. Okay, so Padman, a misdemeanor case in 1999 was expunged in 2000, got a green card in 2013, and renewed it in 2023. After the renewal, you went abroad on vacation, but with the recent chaos with ICE, would it be a problem to travel abroad? That's tough, because the question that I have is, what was the misdemeanor for? So if you can and you want to tell me what the misdemeanor was for, it might have an impact on my answer. But I will tell you this, that expungement is irrelevant for purposes of immigration. It is very, very valuable in your state law, local laws, but it doesn't help with your immigration case. If you were convicted at any point in time, it's on there for the rest of your immigration history. That is on there, and expungement does nothing to change it. More than anything, I will say that your travel prior and the expungement had more to do with who was enforcing immigration than the fact that it was expunged. Okay, but again, the crime, the misdemeanor, has a lot to do with it too. Okay. So here's a question. How long are VAWA receipts and processes taking? Filed in August of 2025. So just to get the receipt, August, so that's taken a while to get that. I don't know. I don't mentally compartmentalize, all the different receipts for different processes. I will say that I've never had a process take that long to get a receipt. And again, I was saying earlier on, I don't know if you were on here before, but the government, absolutely, I'm convinced of this. If they see a filing, they see, okay, is this person represented, or are they doing it themselves? Okay, let's take the case from the person who's represented. Why is that? Because it's easier. The government's going to go for a process or a case that was filed properly, and they don't want to mess with people who are just trying to do it themselves. So if you did this yourself and it's taking a long time to get the receipt, it's because the government's going to take their sweet time. They're going to take other cases that they perceive are going to be easier and quicker because they have huge backlogs of filings and they want to make sure that they process as much as possible as quickly as possible. So I've never had one that uh, I've never had a case take that long to get a filing receipt. Okay. So I do wish you luck though. Okay, let's see here. Any questions here on Instagram? Okay, here, nothing. Lots of followers on Instagram, and I appreciate that. Not as many questions. So let's go back over to where the questions are. Um, okay. Okay. So let's see. Um, okay. So I posted a link. This is for a question about consultations. The link that I posted, and I'll post it again here for you, that is how you get in touch with my team, who will ask you questions about your situation, your case, and provide guidance in order for you to be able to talk with me. So if you want to reach out to them and you get a free case evaluation, and then they will funnel you to me at the appropriate time. So hopefully that information helps you. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Here's a question, face or YouTube again. I'm a U.S. citizen. I follow I-130 for my wife. And last week we received a biometrics appointment. What will be next after biometrics? Um, so, so I'm going to presume that you left a little bit out there. It wasn't just the I-130 that you filed. You filed everything else for the adjustment of status, is what I'm assuming, because otherwise they don't do biometrics. Biometrics for just the I-130 doesn't exist. So what will happen is they will continue to process your request if you did it the right way, and if you filed a work authorization request and there is the right to make that request, that usually is the next thing that the government will process or approve before they schedule the interview. But if they don't give you a work authorization, then the next thing you can expect is the interview notice for both of you to go to that interview. So good luck to you. Hope everything works well for you. So the misdemeanor was theft. My friend, that might be that's an entirely different situation. Um, and this was a question about leaving the country because of something that was expunged. Theft crimes are probably the kiss of death with this administration. So moral character is really, really big for this administration, and it should be, right? Moral character is the fabric of the United States and what we do here. So I think it is risky if you have been convicted of a theft crime and you're an immigrant. I would maybe think twice about traveling if you don't have to. Um, it was many, many years ago. If it was anything recent, I would tell you definitely don't go. But if it was in 1999, that was so long ago that, as long as you are prepared to answer uncomfortable questions at the airport, maybe it's not a big deal. Um, they're not going to deport you over something that happened in 1999, over 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I don't think they're going to deport you over that. But theft is considered much more serious than many other types of misdemeanors. Okay. Okay. So here's another question. I'm getting a lot of love over here on Instagram, and I appreciate that very much. Oh man. So let me go to Patty, CVC. I know Patty, you've been in here in the past, so I thank you for joining again. Um, We're being improved quickly, but so Patty's asking on Instagram, which I can't post it on the screen here. For a couple of months, family petitions made this year were being approved quickly, but somehow that slowed down. Do I know the reason why? I don't know. They don't tell you that stuff. Um, family petitions in my office are still going about the same speed and rate that they were before. Um, it's always a numbers thing. It's always a lot of, you know, bandwidth issues and agents. I know the priority right now for the government is stomping out problem immigration cases. So maybe their focus is on that. I don't really know. But it does go back and forth a lot. So it's never consistent. It fluctuates quite a bit. So hopefully that helps you. You feel better about that answer. Okay. All right. Let me go over here and I'll just take another question here. So let's see here. I work out of the US for a few years and still I'm an American citizen, but my wife with a green card, she is with me. I'm worried that her green card will expire. Okay, you're worried that, okay, her green card will expire. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking me here. Because if her green card is going to expire, you just renew it. So I'm not really sure what the question that I'm missing here. So I'm sorry, maybe consultation will be in order so I can get to the heart of what you're asking here. Okay. So yeah, so go ahead and reach out to me and maybe I can help you figure that out. So with that, folks, we're past the time. I thank you kindly for joining. Had some haters on here tonight. I didn't read all those comments. It happens. People think that they are better than others and they have horrible attitudes. I don't get it, but that's how a lot of people are. But again, thank you for all the people that support what we do here, and we provide good information for good families and helping them reach their dreams in the United States. And I'm always proud to be able to do that. So thank you for everyone for joining. Join me next Monday for Immigration Live with Lee, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time or Detroit time. I'll be here next week. Stay informed, stay safe, and never give up on your immigration journey. Okay, have a good night.